The images in the following program are highly sensitive and may be as disturbing to viewers as they were to us. However, we have to show the truth about animal cruelty.
Kind viewers, welcome to another episode of Stop Animal Cruelty on Supreme Master Television. Today's program features part 2 of our interview with Shawn Monson, a vegan or follower of an animal-free diet, who wrote, produced, and directed Earthlings, an award-winning 2005 documentary on animal suffering. The film was narrated by U.S. actor Joaquin Phoenix, vegan star of the Oscar-winning film Walk the Line. Earthlings has earned the nickname The Vegan Maker because many of its viewers subsequently become vegans. The film contains undercover footage of the tragic lives of defenseless, innocent, sentient beings who are savagely mistreated and killed for food, clothing, pets, entertainment, and use in so-called scientific experiments. Earthlings has received numerous honors, including the Pragi Award, given by People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, a U.S.-based animal welfare organization, and the Best Documentary Award in the Animal Advocacy category at the International Artivist Film Festival, an event held annually in California, USA. Now, let's join Mr. Monson as he discusses how he chose the film's title.
So I didn't have a title at first, and I wanted to come up with a title that no one could be separated from. And I kept thinking, well, what would be a good title that encompassed everything? What term, what definition could there be no division among? What word encompassed animal-human tree, Earthlings? That seemed to be the most fitting. If you look at the cover of the DVD as well, it has a leaf and it has this cow and then it has a human and it says nature. Make the connection between the three Earthlings, and so that was the idea for the title.
One of the topics addressed in Earthlings is the savage practice of animal experimentation.
Medical research, probably some of the hardest footage I ever watched. In animal research, many are killed. They have a process called LD50, lethal dose 50, which is when they're testing some new drug, they'll test it to a degree that kills 50% of test subjects, for instance rats, and then they start to back it off from there until it gets under 50. Some of the most horrible abuse I saw was in part 5. Keeping the animals alive, breaking their necks and fixing it, breaking their necks and fixing it for football injuries or baseball or car accidents, whatever the case may be.
Besides the fact that using animals for medical testing is completely inhumane, such so-called experimentation never approximates what actually occurs in the human body.
What happens is the cancer of a guinea pig is not the cancer of a human being. It's like me saying, go in the other room, it's not oxygen, it's similar to oxygen, but go in there and breathe, and you go, well, why would I do that? There's no need for this. I mean, there's volumes of books that have come out over the last 100 years since vivisection, which is animal testing, was first, first started, essentially by a man named Claude Bernard. Because cancer was cropping up all over France, I think at the time, all these people were dying off one variation of cancer or another, and he was quite concerned about it, and the idea of having a model, an animal, to test on and come up with is how vivisection was born. Of course, we have more cancer deaths today than in the history of civilization. So in 100 and however many years of animal research, we have more death today than ever before. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. But the grants are there and the universities get money for it. Some professors get money for it, for doing it, and they continue to practice it. They continue to slaughter 400,000 animals a day worldwide. Now 400,000 a day for animal testing. That's every kind of animal you can imagine, from rats to primates.
How can we end this appalling practice?
Well, you don't buy products that are tested on animals, number one. Medications that come from animals later have after effects or diverse effects, and people have to stop using them, and then they'll tweak it by a couple of things here and there and then repackage it and sell it again. This is when we get back to food that you eat. You know, that your food can be your remedy and your healing, not some product that coats and hides something.
Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. When we return, we will continue our interview with director Sean Monson about his award-winning documentary, Earthlings.
The images in the following program are highly sensitive and may be as disturbing to viewers as they were to us. However, we have to show the truth about animal cruelty.
This is the Stop Animal Cruelty series on Supreme Master Television. We are speaking with accomplished U.S. film director Sean Monson, a vegan, regarding the making of Earthlings, a feature-length documentary that illustrates humanity's horrific, violent, and systematic mistreatment of animals. The film Earthlings documents the severe abuse of animals in the name of so-called entertainment. Mr. Monson next explains the atrocities perpetrated against our fellow beings in this industry.
I was in Rome this last year, worked on this new film, and I went to the arena, and I stood inside that arena. I looked around and thought there was a time here, 2,000 years ago, people literally gathered together and watched the slaughtering of humans and animals. I mean, the sands of the arena were just wet with blood. We wouldn't tolerate that today. We'd look back on that and sort of horrid by it, you know, to think that a civilization could go and eat food, sit there in the sun, entertained by this. Okay, we don't do that anymore today.
Modern-day exploitation of animals nonetheless bears a resemblance to past practices.
However, we have a different sort of gladiator games going on today, which are the ones I mentioned with the circuses and the zoos and the rodeos and the bullfights and so forth. And I would go as far as to say that future generations will look back on us and see that as abhorrent. You know, and you wonder, you ask yourself, what will future generations look back on us and say, what were they thinking? Oh my, are they blind? Total apathy for the well-being. So that's what we cover in the film. We show some of these areas that animals abuse.
Zoos are also exploitative of animals.
The zoos, people say, well, the zoos is educational. The animals are safe. They're better than in the wild. And I always think, better than in the wild, I mean, the deer isn't really looking for an air-conditioned condo. You know, the wild is home to the deer, you know. So when you say better than in the wild, you're talking about yourself. You're not talking about the animal. The animal naturally lives in the wild. So this is a whole new forced, enclosed space. And they have their problems there as well. They're under the domain of humans. They're fed the diets that humans determine is best for them, and they are isolated and they suffer and they die, as we see a lot with the elephants, for instance.
The message of Earthlings is indeed reaching many people. Next, we hear from a student who recently watched a screening of the film at Chaffey College in California, USA.
I learned that some of the animals that people pretended were treated right actually weren't, because I thought, for the circus, for example, I thought that they were treated normally, but then turns out they're not.
In 2005, a staggering 55 billion land animals were raised in barbaric conditions on factory farms and then heartlessly killed for human consumption. Earthlings deals directly with these brutal realities of animal agriculture, so as to make viewers aware of their power to stop animal cruelty by adopting a diet free of animal products. Let's find out how Shawn Monson made the switch to a compassionate vegan lifestyle.
I started just giving up red meat, giving up meat. I still ate fish and some dairy, and then I stopped eating fish and then stopped eating dairy. And then, of course, to be a vegan, it's not just food you consume, it's products that you wear, so it's clothing, leather, and animal products that might be in cleaning products in your home, that sort of thing. So you just become mindful more and more of that, and you make a choice. It's like every time you spend $1, you essentially cast a vote. So you just choose, well, I'm not going to vote for that anymore. That's the power the consumer always has every day.
Mr. Monson explains the spiritual aspects of protecting animals' lives.
The first law of spirituality is compassion. So do I feel better about it? Yes, because I just happen to be sensitive to animals and I want to eat them or wear them or be entertained by them or use them for cleaning products, etc.
On July 26, 2008, Shawn Monson attended the Climate Change International Conference in Los Angeles, California, USA, organized by the Supreme Master Ching Hai International Association and moderated by Emmy Award-winning U.S. television news journalist Jane Velez Mitchell. The guest of honor was Supreme Master Ching Hai, who participated via live video conference. Here is what Mr. Monson had to say about his experiences at the event.
That was fascinating. I was there all day listening to the different speakers, and it was particularly interesting because they focused so much on the vegetarian impact of climate change, and oftentimes you hear so many other factors about what causes climate change. But here was an entire day of just in regards to a vegetarian lifestyle and how that affects it. Even though I researched a lot and read quite a bit on this, I was taking notes constantly, new things I'd never heard before. These speakers were wonderful. It was really informative. I was happy to be a part of this.
We would like to extend our deepest appreciation to Mr. Shawn Monson for the time he shared with us and for his devoted efforts to prevent the suffering of our animal co-inhabitants.
Hi, my name is Shawn Monson, and I am the director of the film Earthlings, and I'm here to say, please be veg, go green, and save the planet. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Animal World, Our Co-Inhabitants. Coming up next is enlightening entertainment after noteworthy news. May all our animal friends know contentment and love.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/stop-animal-cruelty.